Hey everyone, today I'm going to be teaching you how to play Magic the Gathering. I'll do it in two separate videos. This is part 1. Part 2, I have a link down in the description. In part 1, I'm going to be talking about the game in general, and different colors and card types. In part 2, I will cover how they all interact with each other, including combat and turn phases and other things like that. In Magic, there are 5 main colors. Let's start off with white. Yeah, pretty. White stands for justice, equality, valor, and strength and bravery. It's not necessarily good, but it favors equality and armies. Cards in colors of white can range anywhere from soldiers to pacifism spells, stopping the enemy, and angels. The next color is blue, shockingly my favorite. The color blue stands for intelligence, trickery, and cunning. Anything smart, really. It also stands for things related to the ocean and the sky. Blue spells can range from giant death-eating sea serpents, sphinxes, clashing spells, stopping other people from doing what they want, and merfolk. Humanoid sea fish creatures, I guess. Black stands for acceptance of fate, death, anything morbid, really. It's kind of creepy. But it's also not necessarily bad or evil. It's just anything to do with death. Black spells usually contain stuff that's just straight up meant to kill, vampires, zombies, and demons. There's a lot of demons in black. Red stands for passion and fury. Anything fiery. Also vengeance. Red spells like to get in for quick damage and burn people straight in the face. Red spells can be anything from goblins, fire, lightning, or fire, and dragons. Also, again, fire. Green stands for nature and growth, and anything wild and untamed. Green spells usually are mostly creatures, and more creatures, and lots of creatures. Basically, your game plan is to get out small things that give you more mana to make more creatures. They can range for anywhere from elves, spiders, giant spiders, almost always. What's with giant spiders? It's always a thing. Hydras, which are very cool. Worms, like giant worms, again. Giant creepy crawly things always seem to get people. And random beast-like things that are just sort of giant and intimidating, scary creatures. Now, let's show you the layout of a card. Going to use this guy as an example. At the top left, you will see the name. This one is entitled Moss Kami, so like a spirit of moss. Looks pretty cool. It's like tangle roots everywhere, strangling you, creeping into your nightmares and such. Anyway, its mana cost will be up here on the top right. Since this is a spell, it costs mana to play. So these symbols here, there's a little tree up here, right? That means you need 1 green mana, which is produced by a forest, and 5 mana of any color you want. If it's gray and it has a number, that number is how much extra mana you need to play that card. So in total it will be 6 because it has 5 gray and 1 green. Its picture will be right here. Always very wonderful. I love Magic the Gathering art. It's always really incredible. Under that, you'll see this little line here. This will tell you what type of card it is. Creature, basic land, instant, and a subtype. So this is a creature, and its subtype is spirit. So it's a spirit creature thing. And then this little guy right here is the expansion symbol. It doesn't really matter at all if you're just casual. This little picture here is which set it came out with. So this forest's expansion symbol is M11, which means it came out with the Magic the Gathering 2011 core set. Also, they'll all have different colors on them. So if it's black like that, it's just a common, which is the most, well, common there is. There's also silver, which is uncommon, gold, which is rare, and this sort of red orangey color, which means mythic rare. Obviously, as you can see, those guys are pretty tough. And usually they're very, very good. Under this line right here will be its text box. Its text box is filled with all of its abilities, and if it doesn't have that many abilities, it will probably have flavor text like that. So this guy has the trample ability, and flavor text usually has to do with lore or something funny or anything that has to do with the Magic the Gathering lore. It says, Kami manifest in the form of whatever they embody in the physical plane. Some tower in the shape of moss or bark, while others take forms beyond mortal imagining. Deep stuff. I love flavor text, it's very cool. Little tidbits of wisdom from the Magic the Gathering world. Now that you know the layout of cards, let's go through the different card types. Types are right here. Oh my, it's backwards. Maybe that's just for me. So, this is a creature. Things that you summon to help fight for you. Its type will be right over here. It says creature, fox. All its abilities will be in this text box right here. And this is its power and toughness. Basically how much damage it can do to something, whether it be a creature or a person. And toughness, how much damage it can take before dying and being sent to the graveyard. There are also instants and sorceries. These are one-use cards that, as soon as their effect happens, they go to the graveyard. Sorceries, right here. Sorceries will do their effect only during your turn on main phases, whereas instants can be played at any time, no matter what. Enchantments provide static effects to either the board, a player, a creature, or some other item. So, if it says aura after the enchantment word, it means it's going to enchant something, usually a creature. So, if it enchants a creature, it will give it extra abilities, listed here. And if it's just a normal enchantment, which means its effect just generally happens, it won't have anything after the enchantment part. It will just be an enchantment, and it will do whatever it says. And enchantments are permanents, which means they stay on the board. Instants and sorceries aren't permanents, which means they don't stay on the board. Artifacts are also permanents. They are usually colorless, which means you can use any color mana to play them. And they just stay on the field, and their effects will be listed there. We'll say artifact. And artifacts can do anything from paying mana to get a certain effect, tapping them to do something to something on the board, and they can also be creatures. That's right. Artifact, creature, Juggernaut. Artifact creatures have all the properties of artifacts and creatures. They have power and toughness, and they will have an effect in their text box. So, this is a Planeswalker card, which is different than most other cards. They just got introduced recently, like about a year or two ago. So, they have a mana cost just like everything else. They are permanents. They're sort of like interactive enchantments. Planeswalkers are special because they can be attacked just like you. They're essentially a mini player. of sorts. So this number down here, this 4, that's how many loyalty counters your planeswalker will start off with. And these loyalty counters can either be added or removed to achieve different effects. So usually their top one will be a plus with a number at the end, and down near the bottom there will be a minus with a number after that. And so that means that this one will give him 1 extra loyalty counter, so he will go from 4, which is where he starts off, to 5 after you do the +1. And if you choose to put 1 loyalty counter on him, this effect will happen. Likewise, if you choose to take 2 loyalty counters off of him, going down to 2 loyalty counters, this effect will happen. If at any time a planeswalker's loyalty counters fall to 0, they immediately die and get sent to the graveyard, just like a creature would. But they can be attacked just like you, so a player can assign attackers directed towards the player and a planeswalker, just the player, just the planeswalker, but one creature can only attack one thing. So one creature could only attack a planeswalker or a person. Also, spells that do direct damage like a lightning bolt to somebody can either hit the player just normally and have them deal 3 damage to the player, or the player casting the damage spell can choose to redirect the damage off of the player onto the planeswalker. So if it was 3 damage, it would take 3 loyalty counters off. And that's the gist on how planeswalkers work. Derby derp. What am I doing? I can't remember. Giant and intimidating scary creatures.
Tangle roots everywhere, strangling you, creeping into your nightmares and such.
Giant death-eating sea serpents. Oh my. Duh, this is why we write scripts. Ha! Gotcha. You have to watch part 2 to see my outro music. Be there.